And we have on the line Julian Davis-Buckle, Assistant Commissioner for the Fire Brigade Service in charge of Area 2. Hold on. This is a woman. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. 100% woman.
You're terribly, 100%. For me, listen, for me, I pick I grew up, all me I hear about this fireman, I hear about firewoman, So when I hear this, firewoman, what? Can you imagine that? It is great to have you this afternoon, and persons like you, I will love the fighters, will love the positive people who just keep moving ahead. And I discovered something about you. You take a one with a gentleman from my parish, but you're not easy.
Who is that?
Which gentleman you take away now? You take away a gentleman from Trelawney.
Look, I was about to tell you how many firemen are in the organization and let you understand that I take all of them. But now that you narrow the search
to the special one.
Yes, my husband is from Trelawney.
Right. And I'm going to have you know that close to his relatives went to school with some of them, yes. So,
okay.
You saw Jamaica mix up. I don't know why we can't live good, Everybody link up and mix up. It's just amazing. Now, you are on a track, just like any athlete. You might not be a Usain Bolt or Shellyan, but you go though. And it's clear.
And to tell you something, maybe if I had put a little more interest in it, I could be a Shellyan. I was an athlete during high school, I used to do well.
Which high school is that?
In Knox.
But hold on, I don't like how you follow back at me, man. No, this is getting out of hand now, man. I'm a Knoxite myself. I went to Knox myself.
Yes, I am Knox. I represent Knox in athletics. I had a long jump record at Knox that could not be broken.
Really?
I remember I was in Fire Brigade when I was called by Mr. Nam to tell me that my record has been broken.
What a thing.
My long jump record. I played netball for Knox.
Knox was in netball school, you know that?
Netball team. Yes. Yeah, man. I did very well there in athletics. And I represented, I was selected for national netball team.
Yes.
During high school. And, our principal, Barbara Jones, was an avid netball player. So she pushed me into it, yeah.
Big time. International, you name it?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, she taught me too. Good afternoon, Dr. Barbara Jones. How you do?
Did you get any of the slaps from her slippers?
Listen, let me tell you something, Them the whole time teacher, they never wrap up, And I must tell you,
man. You're waiting on school bus under her window, man, and making noise just so she come down.
It's amazing. That strategy couldn't work now, but it worked then.
Girls,
for example, if the dress is not of a certain level, she will pull it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Take it down.
No joke.
That's the control we need our teachers and our principals to have again. That's why the system out of what now. We don't understand. Everybody, all human rights, everybody tell the principal out them how to run school. It is just amazing.
Man. And empowering the children to do nonsense.
Well, I went to school to be brilliant. And brilliant, I mean necessarily academically bright, there's a sense. Now you go to school for turn dunce. It's amazing. So you see how times have changed? One time they try to put out brilliant. Yeah, man, they try to put out brilliant people. Now you're trying to put out dunce. So can you imagine Jamaica shall be a country of national dunces. It's amazing. Well, what a good thing you come out long. Well, I hear that things at Knox are still up there, so they don't wrap up with up there. Now, where you come from? Because you are on a journey, and as a matter of fact, you're still sports, you're on left it, so. But it seems as if you are on a different race, and you're not competing with anybody, but you seem as if you're on track. But I will not get into your business or the business of the Fire Brigade at this point. But I hope before I leave one of these days, I can be the first to call you and say I'm the first to interview the first fire woman chief, or the fire chief who is a woman. I hope I will be able to be around long enough to do that, and you deserve that for me.
Yes,
You have a bright.
thanks. I hope so too.
Tell me, yes, for those who are just joining me, I'm talking with Julian Davis-Buckle, Assistant Commissioner for the Fire Brigade Service in charge of Area 2. And it's a woman I run things, and the next time I talked to her, I remember telling a gentleman in the police force, so he had stopped because I was looking quite annoyed, and he just stopped and he recognized me. And he said, Vernon, what's the problem? I said, those stupid police are going bad, you know. And he was so kind to me. I said to him, the next time I see you, you know, you will be the commissioner of police. The next time I saw him, he was the commissioner of police as Commissioner Herman Ricketts. So, I'm predicting that for you. Anyhow.
Thank you so much.
You tell me where you come from now. Well, you know, you went to Knox, but go way back and tell where you come from. I know,
I'm coming from Sedberg. You know Sedberg in Manchester.
What you mean if I know? Chillan is right next door, so what you mean if I know Sedberg?
Yes, I'm coming from Sedberg, right across from Homewood there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when Papa went to school. Mm-hmm.
And I went to Christian Elise Primary.
Okay.
Down the hill there, so you walk from Homewood there and you go down to Christian Elise Primary.
Right. Right at is that the corner? Is that the corner there? I'm trying to remember. Is it a corner, right? I'm trying to remember.
Right, at the church, at the, what do you call it, the Catholic church, below the Catholic church there.
Right.
Sacred Heart.
Right, and I used to play there too at Sacred Heart many years ago.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I started there, was never a very brilliant student, you know. I just thought it was necessary. I can remember being last in class on many occasions. I was last.
The guy never ready for study yet. Enough people don't never ready for study at a certain stage, you know. You just never ready yet. That's why I think that many of us is when we get big now, we're ready to study. I think I've lost her. We're going to try and get her back. Oh, boy, real pity. We're going to try and get her back. We're talking with Julian Davis-Buckle and Assistant Commissioner for the Fire Brigade Service in charge of Area 2. And she was telling us that, you know, she didn't start out as a Usain Bolt in the school. But, I'm back with you now. But what matters, you know, is that how you start out, you know. It's what you're going on with now and what you intend to do. But let me ask you, just since as you mentioned that, what would you think accounted for that? Why were you a slow starter? Just like in sports, some of us are slow starters and some of us are quick starters.
Let me tell you, and without a shadow of a doubt, it was my mother. Without a shadow of a doubt. I was, as I said, I was going to primary school. I was very slow. I remember passing common entrance for Knox. Was a surprise to most people. My teachers, too, were surprised. And when I was in grade 7 at Knox, I used to leave Knox at 3:10 to be in Christian Elise, to be back with my primary school teachers for extra lessons.
Right.
My mother ensured that she knew I wasn't the brightest in the pack. She knew I was slow. So
hello. You're going to stop using the word about bright, because this the amount of bright people we know nowadays to say, Lord have mercy. Them taking us downhill. I'm serious, and I've been around. So careful to use that word bright. You were just not ready for academic work at that point.
I didn't hear that.
I said you were just not ready for academic work at that point.
Okay, yes. My mother, she ensured that I got the help I needed to remain on par at Knox. It was a struggle at Knox because I can remember being at Knox, and you know it's a 2.0 to matriculate to the next grade. I was not getting a 2.0 GPA. I was getting a 1.5, 1.8, and I went to grade 9 on probation.
Yes.
I went to grade 9 on probation.
If you had gone to another school, you know, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter.
You'd get minus F. If you go minus F, then you go right up to grade 11, and you get what they call it, your surfy ticket, and you graduate with a fancy gown. And you come out here a big shot. You can't sign your name. It's amazing.
You're right. No, Knox wasn't like that.
No.
And you know, I went to grade 9 on probation, and my mother was strict because she did everything, and she just thought I wasn't doing my part. I got serious punishment. I would talk about me walking from Sedberg. You know Sedberg, right at Homewood.
Yes.
I used to walk from Homewood as part of my punishment from Homewood to Knox. every day, morning and evening,
Hello.
because she say
Let me tell
it's apparent that I'm too comfortable.
That no not one. When the one pioneer bus now run, you see, some of us walk from Knox straight to Lime Tree, you know which miles that was about 8. And then those who go to Albertown and Ulster Spring, that was about 13 miles out.
Look here,
Yes.
when you're walking with a group, it's easy. When
Oh,
you're
it's
walking
fun.
alone, it's long.
Is that it? Yes, yes.
So I can tell you, I used to walk alone, and God bless Mrs. Case, Julie Case.
Yes.
I would get ride with them in the morning sometimes.
A popular family
And I
that,
used to,
Cristiano.
I used to do netball. After netball training, she would give me a lift back home, so I was saved sometimes. But my mother was strict. She was overseas, but she was strict.
But let me ask
I
for the
didn't know
benefit.
somebody could stay in America and punish people.
Let me ask for the benefit of parents and educators. Probably you could give them an insight as to why you think at that age you're, and I would say, never done. So you were not ready for academic work. Why you think you were not ready?
I believe it was just a slow starter.
Eh?
Because it was not lack of teaching. It was not a lack of help from home.
Mm-hmm.
I was just a slow starter because I had good teachers at Christian East. I had good teachers there who ensure.
There's a reason I ask you that, I hope you know that in this system, you're promoted from class to class based on your age. Right?
Right.
And I'm saying, I've been saying so for years, that boys develop later than the girls. And yet we push everybody together. And how I see it, if you're not ready to go into grade 1, then why push the youngster? Children must enjoy their lives and run up and down and enjoy themselves. We are pushing these little youngsters too early. Now, there are some who can do it. There are some who can't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just not ready, why are we pushing you to go to grade 7, 8, 9, and 10? You're just not ready yet. When you're mature and you think differently, then you're ready. And if you follow that rule, you will not waste the person's time, because we are lucky that you did not become frustrated and start to become very disruptive, because that is what happens sometimes, You become disruptive.
Disruptive, yes.
That is history. So all those who out there, oh, by the way, you're not the only one I know. I'm not going to tell you who to, but I'm going to tell you that big man in this country, I know the person too. He didn't pass any subject until he was 20 odd. All right? And today, he's an honors graduate from the University of the West Indies, and he's now a lawyer.
Yeah.
So you look like you're there with some distinguished people.
Yes, you have to. You have to push yourself, and support is very important. Support.
Right.
You can't just give up on somebody. You have to be there.
Right.
You have to be there for them.
Tell me now, I spend enough time talking about education. I want to move now to getting into the service, because I'm sure there are other persons out there who want to get into the service, and I know you had a challenge getting into the service.
I think challenge is a big word. Challenge is a big word.
Yes.
Because I had the requisite subjects that were necessary. Mm-hmm. I passed the examination and passed the dictation, but I just did not cut it for my interview according to the specs that the interviewers were looking for. And they just believed that I wasn't ready for such a service.
Looking back now,
and
when I say they didn't cut it for the interview, what? Because I'm also fascinated by this interview thing. What they say they didn't cut it for the interview. What they mean?
I think when they're interviewing for firefighter, we know the rigors. They know what the firefighting is. I didn't know, but they know what it will entail. Mm-hmm. And I was very petite. When I tell you very petite, I was very tall and skinny. I say all the time, my pet name was Olive.
Okay.
So just imagine Olive, Popeye's wife. Just imagine.
Yes.
Just imagine how I look.
Yes.
I was very tall and skinny. So I think it was more out of saying, no, she's not going to be able to manage those big hoes, as we call them at training school, the red gal.
No,
she's not going to be able to pick up one of them red gal.
What you call a red girl? Hold on, what you call a red girl now?
The big red hose, man. The big canvas.
It's all right. I go no further. I think I know. It's all right. No, I follow.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
So they look at it and say,
that is something I'm learning for the first time. Yeah.
She won't be able to manage one of them wet,
Okay.
And, and I did not take that. I'd go talk for myself. I went back in there and asked for another opportunity,
Yes.
so to speak, and I was given the opportunity, and I keep saying every day I thank Frederick White for giving me that opportunity.
You don't have many of them,
That opportunity, I could not be able to do what I'm doing now right here today. So he's one of the persons I strive not to disappoint.
And
because he took a gamble with me.
And there's one thing that you can also do, is you can take gamble with others. And when I say gamble, it's not really a gamble, because you can see through what some persons are capable of. You can.
I do that. There's something that they call paid forward.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I paid forward more than one occasion. Not necessarily, I'm not involved in recruitment and selection, but even my own firefighters, they might do something instead of hitting them with the book at the very first time. I do a lot of counseling. I do a lot of talking to. I do a lot of rehabilitation. I help them.
So you're not like the policeman may come over the corner and instead of put an indicator and just lick with that charge before he just warn me. How much years me not get ticket, Smart cock give me ticket. They was shocking me now, but they say, thank you very much, sir. You couldn't believe it. He might look for me. I'm serious. He was there looking at me and say, how did this madman come from? But you are right. Sometimes the whole system, we need to dispense justice. We need to deal with people in a more caring way. Now, you have some where you're wasting your time. You have to say bye.
Yes.
But sometimes...
Yes. And you're going to find those. You're going to find those that you have to part company with because it is definitely won't work because they are in the wrong area and they're not going to go where they are because they're not happy.
You're not happy at all.
You want happy firefighters. You want firefighters who love what they do. You want firefighters who, when they go on that truck, they go with the mind to save life and protect property.
I don't care what you want to say. No, see how you can have happy firefighters. You have to be mad for what you want to fight fire. When you see fire, me run.
No, we are happy. When you know when you know your craft,
yes,
you know what to do.
God
we are happy firefighters.
God bless you, master. Me run for fire. Uno run to fire. And guess what? Hear the joke, People they run from the fire, run go to the fire. And when it, by the way, I know you cause the fire, but you no matter to run to it. And when things don't work out, who then cuss off us.
Yeah, man. Well, we sick like that. We can manage that.
They cuss off the fire, man, and difference.
We were built at training school to deal with that.
I so far, I'm not here for no set no fire yet, Oh. Life is funny. That's your work. You have to just live with it.
I know.
You have another minute though. Then we go for a break and come back. So you are, should I say you're stubborn? The people them tell you no, but you're going back and try again. You are stubborn,
I'm just it's not the right word. Persistent.
I call it stubborn. I don't care what you want to say. You can't stubborn. It don't make sense. So when you're stubborn about what is stupid. But you must be stubborn sometimes what is right, because guess what? You never can tell. You will win one day.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. You can be persistent and not stubborn, You're persistent, you try and try. But you say, I can do it, I will do it.
Yes, man, I'm sure it's done.
And guess what? No, me never get stubborn now. And I will not put no bad mouth for you. And I'm not stubborn. One day. You know what I'm saying, right? One day. And you'll be the first.
Day.
I hope I'll be around for the celebration. Just like my good friend Ione Ramsey. Oh, Lord, I shall call on her birthday. Ooh, yo. You're following a string out a fantastic lady, so you stay there.
I know.
All right.
I know.
It is just wonderful.
And the chief of defense staff is also a Knox student.
Look, she need to come talk to one of these. I don't want to tell you more. Her mother.
She is also a Knox student.
Let me tell you more. Her mother is my classmate.
Wow. Look at that.
Yes, Miss Frackleton, how are you doing? Vernon Derby tried to make contact with you. Jamaica is very small here. Very, very small. Yeah, man. Her mother, Frackleton, there was my classmate at Knox.
Okay.
And by the way, I think she's the only woman who's in charge of a defense force in the world now. I think she's the only woman.
Yes.
What a thing. All right, gotta go for the break. It's some music, and then we go for the break, and we're talking to a wonderful woman, a Jamaican who is a fighter, Julian Davis-Buckle, Assistant Commissioner for the Fire Brigade Service in charge of Area 2. This is Omega Radio. This is Vernon Derby. This is Spot On, the People's Program, the People's University, the People's Parliament. Stay with us. Soon come back. Don't move. Welcome back. You're listening to Omega Radio, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica. This is the People's Program, the People's University, and the People's Parliament. It's called Spot On with Vernon Derby. Yes, it's me, my guest, and my very special guest is Mrs. Julian Davis-Buckle, Assistant Commissioner for the Fire Brigade Service. She is in charge of Area 2. You're back with us. Mrs. Davis-Buckle? I think we're not hearing her at all. All right, listeners, we're going to ask you to bear with us. We are going to try and get her back on the line. She just was telling us about her route, which was a challenging one, but I said to her, that's stubborn, persistent, whatever you call it. She has been a fighter, and probably she picked the best profession, a firefighter, because as a woman, she has really gone in there before fight, and she's done pretty well, yes. She has done pretty well for herself. She has a JP, as well, MPA, a BSc with honors too. Right? I wonder if she's back as yet? Okay.
I am.
Oh, you're back now? You should hear me, I give you trouble. I said, start about she's stubborn. Because people say stubborn as something negative. Stubborn when you tell them the right, because they not hear you. But many times persons are leading you in the wrong direction. If you're not stubborn, you follow them and turn yourself into an idiot. Anyhow. Tell me now, where you see the fire service going in terms of technology, in terms of what we do as a country. There are some persons who are concerned, for example, and I know not everything you can speak to. Some things are policies, and I might mention things which you not want to touch because that's for the political directorate. But from a technical point of view, I wouldn't mind you touch it. There's concerns, for example, about the number of high-rise buildings going up, especially in the corporate area. And, persons are saying, can the fire service cope at that height? Do we have a helicopter that can go way up there or what? So you tell me, because there are many persons out there, because, we only see firefighters when they're out there fighting. We don't get enough from you generally. I don't know why, because you guys are probably working so hard. You hardly have time to probably come on the media. So I'm glad to have you today.
Thank you so much again. Yes. Where do I see the Fire Brigade? I joined in 1995. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you that we have come a far way.
Right.
Things have changed, and things have changed for the best. And we continue to make changes. We continue to develop on the policies and procedures that we have. Our fire service now have a vast amount of fire units that we can cover. Each station has a unit now. We are coming from era where we didn't have that. So I can tell you offhand that the Fire Brigade is really taking shape. Mm-hmm. The leadership of the Jamaica Fire Brigade now is making all the efforts to ensure that our fire coverage is on par.
Right.
We are putting in new fire stations. We broke ground for new fire stations in recent times, and you would have seen the Montego Bay station, which has been
brand new one,
developed, and the brand new one, yes. And a lot of changes, developmental changes, is happening just to make not just firefighters comfortable, but the citizenry, to make sure that in your parishes that you have a reliable fire service. So we are doing well.
I must tell you, I got commendations for the work that the department did in the Jacks Hill area, because that was quite challenging. And
yes.
Sometimes citizens, as citizens, we are ungrateful. We know that. But there are times when they see your work, they will, say, find jobs. I did get a few messages, because I understand, and I'm happy to say, no firemen, no lives were lost, nor injury. During that time, because Jacks Hill was quite challenging early on this year. Now, back to the buildings in Kingston now. To what extent do you think you can manage the number of high-rise buildings, and how do you deal with that? Somebody will say, because we're just lay people, we just say, the fire truck ladder cannot go to probably third floor or something like that. What do you do when you have 10 floors?
We inspect these buildings before they are commissioned, and one of the recommendations we make is that they put what we call wet risers in them. We put or dry risers depending on the height. So while we might not be able
you tell me something. Listen, man, remember say you think me slow, you know. Where you call it now? What?
We do fixed installations in there so that will help aid in firefighting activities. So if there is a fire on a particular floor,
yes,
we can go there, we can turn on a mechanism that is there, and we get water. It's not like we have to have the water from the bottom coming up in our hoses.
Oh, I see.
You know, we ask them to create fire points.
Right. You mentioned some terms, wet risers. You mentioned some terms which I've never heard before.
Yeah, wet risers are the ones that are charged with water, have water ready.
Oh,
so just to turn off a valve or so, a water will come, and you can attach your firefighting hose to them. So we do our inspection and we do our due diligence to ensure that the occupants of these buildings will be safe in the event that it were to be occupied.
But before you go further, though, these wet risers, as you refer to them as, the water comes from the water commission supply, or the building has to have its own tank?
The building, because the higher go up, we might not have enough pressure to send the water up. So the building will have to put their own pumps in place. Most times they have their own water supply, unending water supply. So in the event that there's no water in the main, we can still operate.
But you mentioned pump. This pump will be electrically operated if there's a fire and the electricity goes.
With a generator and so on, I would imagine, yes. You have to have a generator because in the event that you lost current too, because if there's a fire in the building and we attend, we might have to call JPS to disconnect current.
But then the generator got burnt up. What do you do?
I didn't get that.
The generator is now damaged. What do you do?
You see, there's something called improvising. And there's something called risk analysis and all of those dynamic risk analysis. When you're on the fire ground, the officer in charge will at that point make some decisions.
Yes.
You know? So it is for me to tell you what we would do now. It's not feasible. When you're on the scene and you see things happening, because that is where the officer comes in now, the senior officer too, because our normal SOPs for things that normal run-of-the-mill.
Yes.
But when things like that to the extreme happen, that's when you need a senior officer. You need someone at my rank, a divisional level rank, so even the commissioner, the deputy commissioners, to make certain decisions and to make things happen. But I can assure you, we have that set. So we have what we call predetermined attendances. So if we know one of those buildings are on fire, we already know that a senior officer would have to be there. So we would not have to go call him. He will be there to fix and remedy all the problems that might come up with a fire like that.
Do you have a system where, especially high-rise buildings, you have a database of these buildings so that you know exactly where to find what? Because that's a concern that I have. Sometimes you go somewhere and the building is locked up and there's hardly anything you can do.
Well, if the building is locked up and it's on fire, we can get in. We can break in. So that's not an issue for us. But as it relates to a database, every division or every station will have a knowledge of their fire ground. So they know exactly what is in their range, what they are responsible for.
And with Google Map, that makes it easier too.
I didn't get that.
With Google Map, that makes it easier. You can see the buildings in that vicinity.
Yeah, but we would have already, our fire prevention team would have already gone in, do their fire inspection, provide the operational team with an after-inspection report. That after-inspection report gives us an idea as to what to expect if we go to a fire like that. A file and a folder like that is stored at the watch commander's office. And when that information now, we train with those. These are information we use to guide our training. That we keep. We don't keep ad hoc training. We train for a purpose, So those are some of the areas that we look at when we're training.
Wow. I always think of all the worst case scenario, I just throw it at you. And if it's that, I've said to myself, suppose we have a massive earthquake, for example, and there are fires over the city, and the Hermitage and the Mona Reservoir breached, or what you call it, damaged, you have no water. And I've said to myself, I would expect them to have some storage tanks in various areas across the city and the country. So if our main water supply gets damaged, then we have reserve water. But do we have that? Not as well. I know there's one. That tank was at by Vinatown area. But do we have reserve tanks in the various areas? So if the main supply fails, we can.
What I know is in Kingston and St. Andrew. I used to be in charge of Kingston, and there are 7 underground tanks in Kingston and St. Andrew, underground that Fire Brigade can access. So all we'd need a submersible pump, and we could access water from these places. Mm-hmm. So we have those in Kingston, I'm sure, as I was in charge of Kingston at one point. So I've visited all of them and see that it is accessible to us. So there are things that we can do. There are other agencies that we collaborate with. If something should happen, I give an example of all the time about the fire at Rosinco. When that fire started, yes. I was in charge of that fire, and I tell you, at one point we have up to 14 water trucks on location.
That was a massive fire.
Private water truck.
Yes.
Trucks from NWA was there, National Water Commission, sorry. They were there with their water truck, private citizens coming in and help us. So controlling that fire was easy because we had water.
Okay. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think you'd probably advise these big companies that to make sure. I hope all of them have their massive storage tanks, which in case of a crisis.
Well, a lot of them do. A lot of them do. Mm-hmm. And these companies, a lot of them are fire compliant too.
The challenge you have is in rural Jamaica, and I must say I find rural folks are far more responsible than the urban folks, because you have some areas in rural Jamaica where you'd have to take the water from a truck and go up the hill to carry water to those areas. And I just find it amazing that you have houses in some very secluded areas and you hardly hear, I'm just using my word, of fires in these places, normally in Kingston. And you know what crossed my mind? I think some of them, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, because I just assume that many of these fires are electrical fires, are caused by short circuit. Are buildings in Kingston, are they required to have their buildings inspected probably every 5 years or so? Because after a while, the wires will become crystallized and you will have leakage of electricity, and anything is possible. Do we have that?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's a policy in place for them to get their buildings inspected. I couldn't speak to that aspect. When you speak to the places that high up that the fire unit can't get to them.
Yes.
We have a system we call water relaying, where we use our hoses and we pump, and we get water there. Mm-hmm. So we make things happen. There's a way to get it there. A straight line of hose will not do it.
Right. But so is that someone suggest you check out,
Then we do another tool.
I suggest you follow up on that one in terms of, do we have a policy? That's not your responsibility, but it's also in your interest. Because, and I know also that some of these fires are caused by persons who are stealing electricity. And a short circuit took place and all that kind of problem. But it seems to me that when you wear a house, you can wear the house on for 20, 30 years. It's just sitting there and nothing is done. No checks are done. That seems to me you're putting yourself at risk of having these fires. Another thing, if you move around Kingston, you see tires, even Malines Road, all over the place. It's there. Zinc fences, all of those are hazardous material. It seems to me that your work is made difficult because the other stakeholders probably not taking the required actions in ensuring that we have certain things, garbage stored, for example, that's not. For example, the Riverton City Dome, that's a fire hazard. I don't know how much we have dealt with that one.
Well, our team responds there from time to time.
Yes.
And we have to do what is called earth covering, where with the tractors and so on to cover it. Right. Because water cannot manage some of these fires at Riverton.
Exactly.
There's so much and no more. We use we have the tractors to use earth, dry earth to cover the fire to create a smothering effect. to get the fire out and so on. But we do what we can when we go there, and we try our best to mitigate and to control the smoke, especially because, when that starts, it affects the highway, it affects Portmore,
and our
the environment gets dark, So we try our best to hold it down as much as we can when we get these calls.
A concern that I have, when you walk into many stores in Kingston and Montgomery, right across the country, you have to ask the store attendant to let you out. What happens if there's a fire? How do you get out? The attendant there will be busy trying to escape, or probably running around the back, trying to look after themselves. What do you do?
It is a concern of mine as a private citizen. Let me take myself out as a firefighter now.
Yes.
As a private citizen, it is my concern too when I go in and I realize I'm locked in.
You're locked in.
I'm locked in, but with the climate we are living in, they are looking at security.
But just security for the material things,
safety.
The life
so
of the.
They will have to find a way. These companies have to find a way to incorporate security and safety.
But guess what? I will tell you something. When you go into these stores and clubs and so on, they're supposed to have a fire exit. When I go into these stores and I'm locked inside, I don't see the sign for a fire exit. I don't see it. As a matter of fact, I tell you.
And that is how the coordination of safety and security have to come into play. Because you're trying to prevent one thing and another thing might happen. So while you're trying to keep out the, unwanted people from your compound, you want to ensure that those who are welcome there are also safe.
Right.
So it's a coordinated effort between the two, security and safety.
I'll put it to you, ma'am.
That needs to be taken.
I'm saying it nicely, but we actually have a crisis on our hands. And that is that the KSSC needs to look into that. As far as I know, clubs and the places supposed to be inspected probably once a year, but once a year means they can go back to square one. These places need to have an exit area properly laboured. So if there's a fire, you know where to run. When you go into a store and the fire starts, you don't know where's the exit. You don't know. How often do these companies have fire drill? These things should be required by law. And you have a fire drill for each organization. So if there's a fire, persons know what to do. We are lucky. We have had a massive fire where lives have been lost. But you never can tell when it will happen.
Yes. But there are inspections done. Our fire prevention team is very robust in that. There are a lot of inspection buildings that host the public.
Yes.
We do a lot of inspections on those buildings. And many of them are certified in some instance, some are not, because we will not certify you if you're not compliant.
Right.
So once you're compliant, we give you a fire safety certification.
I put it to you.
One thing you can look at is when you go into a building, look if the fire certification is displayed.
I bet if you go into many stores in Kingston right now, Montgomery, anywhere, you won't see that certificate at all. I would ask my listeners to start checking around and look for those certificates, but guess what? You probably have the certificate whenever there's a fire and the door is locked and the staff panic. That certificate can help you get you outside.
That is so true.
I am terrible.
That is so. But we will not certify a building with one entrance. That is for sure. A building will not be certified with one exit and one entrance. So once it is certified, there is an alternate exit. But as you rightly say, it must be labeled. It has to be labeled. So that's something that comes with the whole certification process. You have to have an alternate exit. You have to have directional signs. You have to have exit routes. You have to have those things and properly displayed. And if your building is large enough or depending on the nature of the business, you have to have strobe lights because you have to cater for the disabled. You have to cater for the hearing impaired. So it depends on the capacity, depends on the building itself that the recommendations are made. So our fire prevention team is out. I tell you, they're out in their numbers. Every parish has one as a unit that go out in their numbers to ensure that we keep these public thoroughfares safe.
Right. But I tell you, see, we need to talk some more because I don't know if you get a big budget to do education, public education. I hardly think so. And to what extent you can only, to me, your job is to put out the fire. It seems to me that you don't have the funding there to actually help to prevent the fire. I'll put it to you. You don't have to say it because that's a political matter. That's not at you. What you say is not at your pay grade, no?
But I use this opportunity as you speak about public education. I use this opportunity to tell you that October, the last week of October, is annually, every year, is celebrated as our Fire Safety Awareness Week. And this is a week that we do a lot of education. We have been doing it throughout the entire year. But that week, we intensify. So if we used to do 5, we are doing 50 in that week because we draft people from the operations side of the brigade, and we put them in there, and we go all out during that week to educate people. You'll see magazines out in the Gleaners and the other print medias. You will hear our fire prevention teams on radio stations talking. Our public relations officer will be out doing television shows and so on during that week. So that week is really a big week for us in the
But you know what I'm going to tell you, you can have fire from January until December. So while the week is good, you still need more.
That's what I'm saying. It's something that we do.
Yes.
But, we do it throughout the year. Mm-hmm. But that is a significant. And why? The Jamaica Fire Brigade was born during that period. We will be 53 years old this year.
Oh, sorry, by the way, let me tell you something. You don't only have firefighters, you have some very talented people. So make sure you have them performing too.
I just said 53 years old. That is an error. 153 years
153. Say that out, you're easy. So let me tell you something. When I have no weekends, make sure they get the talented firefighters because you also have some very talented singers and what have you in the service. I'm quite aware of that. So make sure you have them performing.
Firefighters are multifaceted.
I know that. But far more needs to be done, and I love to push for the authorities. When you have things like Grand Gala, the fire service must be a part of it. Grand Gala is becoming too much of a state show. We just need to show our state operations of the state. When persons go there, they must feel proud of the state. I want to see the fire brigade back in the center out there and show you're doing the work and so on, and make people applaud, That's what we need. But people are losing respect for people like the firefighters and others because at the national levels, we are not promoting them enough. And that's above your, I tell you again, that's above your pay grade.
You do our best.
I know you do your best. Just make sure that within the next couple of months or so, next time I call you, I will have to say, Chief.
I continue to do my part.
I like it, the side said that is all right.
Yeah.
May I troublemaker, you hear? Any final word before you leave us? You have a minute left.
Yeah, I'm just happy for the opportunity to represent my organization on the forum, on your platform. And the Jamaica Fire Brigade is here. We just want to assure Jamaica that you have a fire brigade. You have 2,000 and odd firefighters ready to serve you. We just want your cooperation and just be safe when our fire inspectors come around and do our inspection on your building. Just help us to help you.
Exactly.
Right. Help us to help you. Adhere to the regulations that is given by our fire prevention team. Ensure that you do what you do. Our fire hydrants, protect them. Don't stuff papers in them, please.
Lord of mercy,
if a fire hydrant is at your gate, don't paint it the color of your house.
The crazy thing to do. Here we're talking to a wonderful woman. Yes, she's the first female to ride the fire unit in Manchester, first female officer for Manchester, first female divisional commander for the parishes of Clarendon, St. Catherine and Kingston St. Andrew, the first appointed female superintendent in the 150 odd years of the fire service in Jamaica. She's the only female at the rank of assistant commissioner and presently has oversight responsibility for Area 2. Well, there's one first that is missing. We'll deal with that in the near future. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Assistant
so much for
Commissioner
having me.
Julian Davis-Buckle. Proud to that you have gone to the same school that I have attended. Always have a wonderful. And we'll talk to you again. Yeah, we'll talk to you again. Don't worry. Take care.
No problem. You take care. Thanks for having me.
All right. This is Omega Radio. I'm Vernon Derby. Going to go for the break right now. Stay with us. Soon come back.